Hey guys, Ron from Wild Betta Fish USA. So this is going to be a wild betta fish video on our well-stocked, somewhat planted cylinder tank that we developed a few months ago. And what you're currently looking at is a male betta channoides with a female. In this tank, I currently have a ratio of 3 females to 1 male. Not exactly my ratio of choice, but it's what we basically had from the beginning. I received a shipment of betta channoides, and the females were the only ones who made it in transit. And I just received this male 2 weeks ago from Jiang Pham. He's on Instagram. Follow him on Instagram. He's another wild betta fish fanatic. He's a friend of mine that I've met from Facebook in the Facebook group, and seems to have really carved out a nice niche for himself in regards to wild betta fish. So he sent me this male that he had pretty much no use for, and we're currently trying to pair him up with one of the 3 females that are in this particular setup. So this tank is the all glass cylinder, and the measurements of this particular setup are about 13-inch overall diameter, about 23 inches tall. So the footprint on this holds about exactly, I'd say close to 7 or 8 gallons of water full. Now, as you know, most of my wild betta fish setups for the most part are 3/4 full, and this tank was never going to be any different than that. I currently have a nice piece of pothos growing out, some really good moss that has done really well in this setup, some Java fern, an awesome piece of Malaysian driftwood that makes a nice tea-color tannin. And as you can tell by one of our stickers, that's correct. My bettas don't live in bowls. Wild Betta Fish USA. This is not a bowl. This is about twice the size of a standard bowl, and as far as I'm concerned, suits a small group of betta channoides pretty well. These fish have a lot of little hides, a lot of locations to get away from one another. It's driven by a sponge, which you're not going to be able to see in the glare, but it's driven by a sponge, single sponge filter, and seems to be doing a pretty good job in conjunction with 50% water changes that I do. Maybe you'll be able to get the sponge filter right there. Nice size sponge. There you go. Okay, the glare on this tank is really tough because it's lit by a standard furniture piece, style lamp. And what I did was, not to actually blind you guys, I put a 6500 Kelvin LED bulb in there, and it seems to be growing the plants rather well. The top itself I actually had made, I should say, from cell cast acrylic, and I used little cabinet door stoppers to create a nice little air gap to dissipate some of the gases and get the gas exchange going. And it still produces a nice humid layer of air, depending on how cool I keep my apartment. This particular setup for these channoides stays about 71 to 73.5 degrees. That's pretty much it. Now you're going to ask me, how do you heat that? I don't see a heater. Little trick I stole from some of the reptile fans, and we went with, that's right, under the glass heater. It seems to warm up the substrate at its warmest section to about 73, 74 degrees, but in turn keeps the water column only a few degrees, if not maybe 1.5 degrees cooler. Betta channoides do not really appreciate super high temperatures for long periods of time. So I would say anywhere between 71 to 76 degrees is optimum for betta channoides. The best way to get channoides into spawning, of course, is to hit them with a water change, feed them a lot of live, meaty, high protein foods. I love blackworms. I have a great source for blackworms, very clean. I keep the blackworms in little containers in the fridge, and it always seems to turn on betta channoides. So stay tuned for more on the Wild Betta cylinder tank from Wild Betta Fish USA and the Betta channoides project. See you guys.